Hey everyone, my name is Tommy Streeter,
I'm Nate Mollery.
and we are the co-founders and producers of Bare Knuckle Recovery.
On this show, we will talk about all things related to recovery, share our experience, strength, and hope, and also have a lot of guests on the show who work in our local communities, furthering the mission of recovery.
Thank you guys for watching, following us on social media as well. Hope you enjoy the show.
Welcome in, everybody, to the Bare Knuckle Recovery podcast. My name is Zach Dawson, and I will be your host today. Today, we have Sierra Bowling and Hannah Till. We wanted to bring Hannah on to tell her story and talk a little bit about recovery and hope for other people. So, Hannah, please introduce yourself and take it away.
All right. Well, like I said, I'm Hannah Till. So let me just get right into it. I was born and raised in Fort Wayne. If I'm going to get right into my childhood, like, I wouldn't say I had a bad childhood, right? I had parents that gave me anything I ever wanted. Like, they're still married today. But like, thinking back, like, I was the shy and quiet kid. Like, I was always like scared. I was, scared. I think I had some mental health issues at a really young age, and I'll get into that later as to why I think so. But I had some like trauma with my grandmother and like not being the favorite and like stuff like that. So, when I was a kid, my cousin was like, "You're ugly and you're stupid." And I believed her for a long time. And that kind of shaped a lot too, I think. So going into school, I was a straight A student.
Nice.
I was a good kid for a long time. And then, sixth grade hits and I start hanging around the popular group and things go a little downhill. I start getting bad grades. By the time I was 13, I was smoking weed and drinking. So that carried right into high school. Partying, going out with friends. Every weekend we were drinking. And it wasn't like, that's the time where you're like, oh, this is fun. No consequences. Like, everything's good. I'm young. I don't have to worry about anything. And so going into my senior year, funny, embarrassing story. Okay. So,
yay, we're ready. Go.
Yay. So I went to my friend's house one day and we were going to hang out. And she was like, "My brother is coming over on his moped. Do you want to take a ride?" I'm like, "Sure, let's take a little ride on the moped."
Moped.
And so we go. She's driving. It was great. It was fun. We're driving around Fort Wayne. And then she's like, she pulls over and she's like, "Do you want to drive it?" And I'm like, "Okay, sure." Like, I've never driven a moped or anything like with two wheels motorized. Okay. Like, I thought it was going to be like, when you're a kid and you're riding a bicycle and somebody's like on the pegs.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be like that. Well, no, I was incorrect. So I took off and I didn't even make a full turn. I just crashed right into the curb across from me. And I laid over the moped, like on my leg. I dislocated my knee.
Is this sober?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, this is completely sober.
Love that.
It's just kids being kids.
I mean, I was 17, I was just a regular old day of fun, So, dislocated my knee, tore my ACL, MCL, and PCL. Like, I really screwed it up. And so we were on the side of the road and she's like, "Do you want to call an ambulance?" I'm like, "No, don't call an ambulance. My dad's going to be so mad at me." And so we just sat there and I'm like holding my leg together. And then my friend drove by, just happened to drive by, and he was like, "Hey, are you okay?" I'm like, "No, I'm not okay." So he put me in his car and then he took me to the hospital. So yeah, they had to reset my knee, all this stuff, when you go to the hospital. And so eventually I had to have surgery, right? Like, I had to repair those ligaments. And of course they prescribed me Vicodin and Percocet. And I took it like normal at first. Like, I was very naive at that age. Like, I didn't know anything about addiction and how it works or what it's like. And I had this boyfriend at the time. You'll hear a theme throughout my story of some unhealthy relationships, but I had this boyfriend at the time. And I was laying on the couch at my parents' house and he's like, "Hey, if you take a couple extra, it feels really good." And I was like, okay. So I tried it. And when I tell you, it felt like somebody came up and hugged me. It was like, everything's going to be okay now. And from that moment on, like, I wasn't giving it up.
Right.
I continued to use throughout the whole relationship I had with him. So probably the next 3 years. And there was a point to where, you know, obviously we would run out. And the first time we ran out, I started withdrawing and I had no idea what was going on. Like, I was sick. And he was like, yeah, it's because you're withdrawing. And I was like, what's that? And he's like, you have to have more so you could feel better. So that's when I realized this was a physical reliance. And then came along the realization that this was also a mental reliance. Like, I need these. This was my happy pill. It made me outgoing. It took away the anxiety. It took away my depression. I felt like I could be outgoing and be okay, you know, like be a part of. And that's what I wanted to be.
Someone that you're not.
Yeah. I wanted to be someone I wasn't. I wanted to feel like I belonged somewhere.
Yeah.
And so I held on to it. And eventually, you know, when you're living that life and you're hanging around those people, like, it turns into something else. I started trying Xanax. I started trying Coke. We were doing that on the weekends, and it just it spiraled. And I had this other boyfriend. He was getting me drugs. And one day he came back and he was like, hey, this is what I have, you know, and it was a powder. And I was like, why is it a powder? He's like, well, I crushed it down already. And like, something in my head was like, this isn't right. But I did it anyway, because that is how compulsive we are. We don't care. We just want to get high. Like, that's it. So he ended up beating me up, taking all my drugs, knocking over everything in my house.
What was that powder?
Heroin.
And
when did you find out?
Yeah.
So I ended up, so he beats me up, whatever. I had my own apartment and I was like, I can't live here anymore. I'm scared. So I go live with my friend, and then it turns out they're doing heroin. I didn't know they were doing heroin. And then they offered me some, and I was like, oh, like, it clicked. Like, that's what I did. So I was doing heroin, not knowing. I mean, I knew something was off, but I was still doing it. And so, yeah, I was heroin. So I stayed with them for a long time, and we were doing all that stuff. And I lost my job, and so I stopped having an income. So I started asking everybody if can I borrow $20, you know, here and there. I need it.
At this time, are you still prescribed to the medications?
Oh, no, they cut me off.
Why did they cut you off?
I guess it just came to a point to where they're like, yeah, she keeps asking for it. We probably should stop prescribing it.
And when they cut you off, did they like taper you down? Did they do anything for that?
Oh, no.
It was just a straight cut off.
It was just straight cut off.
And when that happened, what did you have to do?
Oh, it was a panic.
Yeah.
It was a panic. And I just had my boyfriend at the time be responsible for getting them.
Yeah, and that's something that we've seen so many times, that, you know, when we're just cut off, we have to have that in order to feel better. Mm-hmm. So when we can't have that from the doctor, that's when people turn to the streets. Back when this was going on, that was so common. And, you know, because we went through the opioid epidemic and that portion of it, when all the doctors were pushing pills and things like that. And then they just cut everybody off. And when they cut everybody off, everybody then turned to the streets. You could get heroin that was cheaper, because at the time when I'm sure they cut you off, prices were skyrocketing. All the pharmacies around here were getting robbed. And I remember myself that pills went from like 25 cents a milligram to $2 a milligram. So then introducing...
we were paying $8 a pill.
Yeah.
And that was back in like, what, 2012?
Correct.
So that was a lot.
Yeah. And then it went even higher. And then along comes heroin. It's the same thing. It's stronger, but it's also cheaper. So sorry, I just wanted to preface that. Go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, I'm borrowing money off of people and I'm like, this isn't sustainable. Like, what am I doing? Like, I was withdrawing all the time and I was finally like, I need to do something about this. So I told my parents about it, which was a really hard thing to do. We didn't ever, I kind of skipped over that in my childhood. We didn't ever talk about anything. You know, there wasn't like an emotional connection that I felt that I needed. Like, I didn't have that one person that I could go to and talk to about anything. And that, I think, from an early age taught me to stuff down feelings. And I think that's why a lot of people get into drug addiction, because they're not used to expressing that and they need to stuff it down, numb it out, cover it up. So I wanted to go to treatment. And I was still on my dad's insurance, so I was able to go somewhere decent. They taught me about AA and NA. I wasn't really interested. My idea was that I was just going to go there, get cleaned up, go home, and go all about my life. Like, I didn't have any idea that this recovery thing was lifelong. Like, I didn't know, like, this was something I was going to have to work at for my entire life. And I wasn't willing to at that point anyway. I had no willingness. I wasn't honest. I wasn't open-minded, and they tried to get me to go to aftercare. And I was like, absolutely not. I am not going anywhere. I'm going home.
You thought 30 days would fix it. We run into that all the time.
Yeah, it was just going to be a solution. It was just a solution for me.
Right.
Yeah. So I get home. I felt like that awkwardness when you have no transition and you just come home straight from that bubble and then you're back into the same environment you were in before you left.
Same home, same people,
Exactly.
Same habits.
Yeah, I had no time to rehabilitate myself and find a new way to live. I didn't do any of that. So I think I lasted about 3 weeks.
Right.
3 weeks and I relapsed back straight to heroin. And now I'm smoking crack. I'm experimenting with all these things. Like, I'm trying everything under the sun. Well, I ended up getting arrested. I got a misdemeanor for possession of controlled substance. I got really lucky that it wasn't a felony. And I had to do probation, and I wasn't willing to do that.
No, thank you.
No, thanks. No, thanks. And they're like, okay, come in for a drug test. I failed for everything on the cup. I didn't even know what some of those panels were.
Yeah.
I was like, I guess I did that. So they still put me on unsupervised probation. They gave me a time and a date once a month to come for a drug test. I knew exactly when it was going to be, and I still couldn't pass it.
Right.
I still couldn't stop. Like, that's how compulsive this disease, like, insidious it is. Like, we cannot stop. We can't stop. And so I ended up finishing it. I eventually did 13 days of house arrest. Like, what was that going to do, honestly? But that's what I did. Done with that. Moving on with my life.
Were you getting high while you were on house arrest?
Actually, no.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so let me back up. This is what happened.
Okay.
So I couldn't pass a drug test. So I was like, I got to figure something out. So I go to the methadone clinic. And you betcha, I was there every day at 6 morning to get my fix. $14 a day. I made it happen. And if I couldn't make it happen, I missed it, I'd go use. Like, it's not sustainable. It doesn't work. I tried to switch to Suboxone. That didn't work either. I mean, I ended up able to use it enough to pass the drug test because they were fine with that. I mean, honestly, like, substance, in my opinion. They were okay with that. I ended up getting off the Suboxone and I was kind of like okay for a little bit. I ended up getting a job and I was kind of okay. And I got in a relationship with another guy. I found him at work. He started putting like little gifts in my desk, telling me I'm beautiful, and he was love bombing me is what he was doing. And
you were vulnerable right at that moment.
I was vulnerable.
Right.
And he took advantage of that and he knew, and we got in this relationship, and it was textbook abusive. It was physical abuse, sexual abuse, mental abuse. I think that's the biggest one, is the mental abuse. I mean, that went on for a year. And one day I just decided, like, this isn't how I'm supposed to be living. Like, this isn't me. How did I end up this way? This isn't what I want to do. So I packed up all my stuff and I left.
In the beginning of that relationship, when you're with all the abuse, did you see it as abuse?
No. I thought, well, I love him so much. And, afterwards, after he did the bad thing, it was always like he was there for me and loving, and you know what they do. I forget what that's called, but that's what they do.
The grooming part.
Yeah.
That's just like the cycle of abuse.
It's a cycle.
Yeah. They come back and tell you that they're sorry. I'm going to change. They make lots of promises.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, and it's not always just the female to male dynamic. I mean, I've been the abusive one in a relationship before, but it's a lot of the empty promises. And when two people are very sick, you become addicted to the dopamine that they give you when they tell you that they're sorry. Mm-hmm. And you look for that to be the stability in the relationship. So the fights can be as big as they need to be. As long as you're going to get the dopamine fix afterwards of them holding you and telling you that they're sorry, you'll stay. And it's until you break away from that. It's the same thing with drugs, right? Like, we go back to drugs because we know that we're going to get that relief from the high, even though we know that we're going to be dope sick the next day. But eventually, the same thing happens, right? Where we realize this isn't working anymore.
Yeah.
And this isn't stability. This isn't what I deserve. And once that actually clicks, that's where something starts to happen.
That's the for me.
And I didn't think I deserved any better as well. Like, I hated myself. I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. It was a perfect storm about how it worked out at that point in my life. So yes, I ended up moving out. I went to live with a friend, and I was like, okay, I'm done. Like, I'm just going to drink occasionally. I'm not going to touch any pills or heroin or anything. Like, that's it. I'm done. I'm going to live a normal life now.
You thought pills were your problem.
I thought that was the problem. But drinking every now and again, that's fine. That's fine. So
I think we all go through that.
I think everybody does. Yeah. Like, we had to try it out a few times to actually accept it.
Absolutely. I remember a case manager when I was in rehab asking me, when was the first time you started using heroin? And I don't know, I'm explaining the whole history to her. And then she goes, okay, but what about the first time you drank? And I was like, why is that relevant? I had no idea that was what we were doing here, that my whole life was about to change. But like you had said earlier, if they would have told you that you had to do everything different, it would have been it was just too much, right?
Yeah.
You can only take like those 30-day increments at a time, and maybe I'll physically be able to detox everything. But even when you were talking about using methadone and Suboxone, you weren't doing any like therapy at that time, right?
No.
Right. So it's just, yeah, you're being able to cope with and you're quieting the sensation, the physical sensation, but mentally there was something since your childhood that was holding you back from being successful, and there's no treatment for that.
Yeah,
at the time,
that was
it's
a quick
just
fix.
Yeah, it's just, let's blanket this. And so of course nothing's going to work at that time. No relationship, nobody telling you that they love you is going to make you love yourself. No pill is going to make you love yourself. It's just, you have to be vulnerable with yourself in that moment and really look inward, and that's tough. But eventually that's kind of the secret to life. You have to fall in love with yourself so that you want better for the rest of your life, and so that everybody else gets to enjoy you too.
Yeah, absolutely. So I get out of that, and I think I'm normal again. And, at some point, sometimes my story is a little blurry. Like, you're doing all these drugs and stuff. It kind of forget some stuff. And my trauma response is to block things out. So there's a lot about that relationship I don't remember. And at some point, I had resurfaced memories of some abuse in my childhood. And that's why I said I'd get to that later, because I had these resurfaced memories of abuse from my uncle. So for me, it kind of made things make sense a little bit, but I clung onto that and was like, this is my reason why it's okay to use. And I was like, it's all about me and my pain. And nobody was going to tell me how I coped with that. Nobody was going to tell me what I did about that.
You felt justified.
It was justified, and it was all about me. All about me. So I, sorry, I forget where I left off.
You finally got out of the relationship. You're just drinking now.
I'm just drinking now. And I need to find another job. So I'm like, I am going to be a bartender. I feel like that's my calling.
Yes.
That's what I was born to do.
I love it.
How old are you at this time?
I was like 25.
Okay.
24, 25. And as soon I get the job, I walk in there for orientation. As soon as I walk in, I see an old drug dealer, and he was working there. And I should have just turned around and walked right out. But did I? No, absolutely not. I didn't.
You probably welcomed him with a warm hug. And,
hello.
Hey.
So, yeah, as you can probably predict, it didn't take long for me to start. It started with Vicodin and Percocet again, Xanax. I'm doing all that again. And I'm like, I'm just going to keep it at this. You try to like make little rules for yourself in addiction to like kind of make yourself feel better. Like, oh, I still have morals.
Absolutely.
I would never shoot up.
Yeah, I'm not as bad as they are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So I start looking around for other drug dealers, and I come across this girl, and she says, I have 30 milligram Percocet. And I was like, yes, count me in, sign me up. Let me get some of that. And so I do. And I was like, this is amazing. I love this. And I think I go on with that. And then finally I figure out like, oh, I'm doing fentanyl.
Yeah, there's no such thing.
There's no such thing.
Percocet.
I was like, oh, 30 milligram Percocet. Perfect. Like I didn't have any idea that wasn't a thing, but I was so deep into it at that point. Like I didn't care. Like I wasn't going to give it up at that point. So I just kept doing it.
Just the same thing that happened with heroin, right?
Exactly. I was already in it. I was already in. So, I'm working at this bar, and then I start drinking every night. You get off work and you get your shifter. So you get that, and then you can't just have one. So you have another, and then it turns into more, and you're partying every single night. I was sleeping until 4 p.m. every day. I was just so depressed. So depressed. It was a dark time. And I'm doing all these things, and COVID hits. COVID hits. I'm getting unemployment, that's $600 a week that everybody got, living off of that. And I find out that I'm pregnant. Yeah, what a day for me. And I was like, okay, I'm going to stop then. I got to stop. I'm going to stop tomorrow. And then I'm going to stop tomorrow. I'm going to stop tomorrow. And I didn't stop. I used throughout my entire pregnancy. And that's still something that I'm working on forgiving myself today. I mean, I think I'm getting there, but there's still that extra guilt in my head. Like, how did I do that? Why would I do that to my daughter? But I ended up giving birth. She was okay, luckily, by the grace of God. She was healthy. She didn't have to go to the NICU or anything. She was okay.
Did she come out with anything in her system?
She did have some traces of fentanyl in her system, and they found it in the umbilical cord.
Did you tell anyone? Like, I'm struggling? Like, I know I'm pregnant, and I know how scary this is. It's scary for me too, but I can't stop. Did you have anybody to tell?
I went to the ER one time, and I was like, I got to get off of this. And they just treated me terrible, and I felt awful about myself. And I just sat in the hospital room for 3 hours, I think, by myself. And so eventually I just ripped the IV out of my arm and left.
So many women need to hear that. There are so many women that are full of shame and guilt and have no idea how they're going to proceed in life because they know that their addiction was stronger than their love for their kid. And I used to have this girl that I was in treatment with, and I would always hear her say, you know, I would die for my child, but I don't know that I could live for him. And that spoke to me, right? Because there's a part of us that we do have love for our child, but there's also this unhealed part of us that is stronger at that time. And it's tough. I think a lot of women, though, need to hear that part of your story because it is the truth.
And it's heavy.
Right. And it's impactful. There are going to be people that probably have the judgment, but they haven't lived it, right? They don't know what that feels like and how strong you have to be on the other side of it and then come forward and say, I did this, but now I'm doing something about it.
Mm-hmm.
When you were going through your pregnancy, were you seeing like OBGYN?
I was going to all my appointments.
And were they testing you?
They knew, but they weren't doing anything about it yet.
Why? Why do you think?
I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe there was some miscommunication. That's the only thing I can think of as to why nothing happened with that. Or maybe they can't actually do anything until the baby is born.
Did you have a DCS case?
How do you know they know? Or they knew?
There was a doctor. I didn't tell them. I mean, they take urine tests when you're pregnant. And a doctor did say, like, you can't do this. You need to stop. He had like a little chit chat with me, you know, and I was just like, I know.
But did they reach out? Did they reach out to DCS? Was anybody reaching out, contacting you, telling you?
Not at that point. Not while I was pregnant.
Do you think you would have even taken the help at that time?
Oh no. No, that's how progressive and like this disease is. It has such a hold on you that sometimes you just can't put it down. You can't put it down.
The fear of it.
Yeah.
The fear of leaving it.
Oh, it was my security blanket. How was I supposed to live without it?
Well, it's your entire life. I mean,
it's survival at this point.
You wake up and you get high. You have to find something to get high. You then spend all day trying to find money to get high. Then it's like, oh, well, I have to go to work if I want to be able to get high or drunk or whatever that looks like for anyone. So like, and then all the people that you're around, that's everything. That's everything in your life. If you have family members that are using, again, that's everything. But even if they're not using, that is still something that we have to deal with as people that are trying to change.
And you're pregnant. Pregnancy's scary.
Yeah.
If you don't really know everything that's going on with your body and you don't have that support as is, it's scary.
Yeah. Just talking about the desperation to get high. You'll do anything for it and you'll continue it until you absolutely have no choice but to stop. So I'm in the hospital, and let me back up for just a second. While I was in labor, I literally had brought a kit with me to the hospital of all my drugs. And I was in labor, and once the nurses and doctors left, I leaned over in the hospital bed and did fentanyl. You know, and so, you know, I give birth and everything, and they find fentanyl in the umbilical cord. So pretty quickly they got DCS involved.
Are you by yourself? Like, do you have any support? Is there anybody there with you at the hospital?
Her dad is there. And that was
but
during
he
COVID.
Uses too.
He would drink and like do coke and everything, but to him he wasn't an addict, you know.
Got it.
And we'll get to that too. We'll get to that. And so DCS gets involved, and they come into the hospital room and they start asking me questions and everything. And they didn't like come right out and say like, okay, we're going to do something about this, but they just took some information and then they left.
Did you know?
Oh, I knew. And I was like, this is bad. So I'm still doing drugs in the hospital. And because she did have traces of fentanyl in her system, we had to stay there for a week just so they could observe her at least. So I remember sitting there in the hospital bed, and I was holding her, and I nodded out. And I came back to, and she was just kind of like leaning out of my arms. And like I just started bawling. like, I'm getting teared up about it right now. I just started bawling. And so eventually I got to go home. I went to my parents' house with her, and DCS started coming to the house and drug testing me. And they let me go on with this for 2 months, and I still didn't stop. And they said, hey, we have this thing called Family Recovery Court, and if you get involved with this, you could get your kid back. So eventually they did. They removed me from the home because my parents were willing to take care of her.
Okay.
So instead of her taking for me, I couldn't go there. So
Right.
where did I stay? My drug dealer's house.
Of course.
Of course. I was stealing from him when he didn't know. Like I said, like that was the common theme in my story. Like I would hook onto these men and use them and take whatever drugs I could from them or money. And so I get involved with Family Recovery Court. That's when it's kind of like drug court, except it's for DCS, and you go there and you stand up in front of everybody and talk to the judge and do all that. And well, actually, it was virtual because it was COVID at first. So they couldn't really make me do anything at first.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm taking these drug tests, and they called me one day and they're like, Hannah, your fentanyl levels are so high that we don't even know how you're alive right now.
Do they like make you proud, or like? Because I'm just saying, like, as messed up as my thinking is, I would be like, yeah, like, I do a lot of drugs. Like, I would have thought I was the coolest thing. I really would, because we're delusional and we're sick and we're twisted when we're in that mindset. I would have thought that was really cool. We had a girl one time come into our facility, and we told her that she tested positive for xylazine, right? And she was bragging about it. And we're like, no, that's not a good thing. But just the delusion, I remember feeling that way. I would be proud of something like that if they would have told me that you should be dead. I'd be like, yeah.
I was like, oh, yeah, my tolerance is so high that, my body can handle it.
And at this point, how much are you using a day?
Gosh, I don't know. I was doing those little pills, and sometimes I would do like 20 a day if I could get my hands on them. I would do that thing where you get some and then you divide them out, and then you're like, this is for Monday, this is for Tuesday, this is for Wednesday, and then you do it all in one night.
Yeah.
Like I could not control it.
Absolutely.
I was out of control.
Could you have detoxed on your own?
Oh, I tried, and absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
And were you doing anything else other than the fentanyl pills at this time?
No, I wasn't doing anything else. It was just the fentanyl. That was my one true love.
Yeah. That's the way that I was. Alcohol didn't matter to me, but I didn't realize that I had a problem with alcohol until I found my recovery from opioids, heroin, and everything like that. But I found out like I only drank to get drunk, and I only drank to be social or whatever. And I found out like I have issues with alcohol through this process, but I was the same way as you. Like I didn't use anything else other than heroin.
I would be like, why do people go out to dinner and just have one drink? Like, what's the point of that? That's how how my mind works, So yeah, my fentanyl levels are so high. I know I'm going to have to go to treatment at some point. And they started talking to me about it. Like you need to go to a 30-day inpatient treatment center. And I was like, no. I'm going to do this on my own. No. I'm going to figure this out. And I had a caseworker, and she was like, Hannah, you're not special. And I was like, yes, I am. You know what I mean? Like, excuse me, I'm pretty sure I am. So I decided just to go to like a treatment center and like detox. So that's what I did. I went to a treatment center and I stayed there for one night. And I remember I was, when you're withdrawing, you're in bed and you're just tossing and turning, just like rustling around. And I got like rug burn on my elbows, and I was like, that's it. This is not, I can't do this. That's it.
Like, this is torture. Why are they doing, they're doing this to me?
How dare they have rough sheets?
How dare they make me withdraw? Yeah.
This is not comfortable for me. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
you're uncomfortable?
I wanted to be comfortable. So I AMA the next morning.
What does AMA mean?
I left against medical advice.
Which is funny because now full circle, you help block AMAs.
I know. I really do. And I tell them about these times that I should have stayed.
I've been in your shoes. I know what you're going through.
Yeah. I did not learn from my mistakes, please. You know? And so I demanded to leave. They have like phones there you could use anytime. So I called my boyfriend to order me an Uber. And well, the Uber only stays there for like 1 minute and then they left. So then somebody else was leaving at the same time. So I'm like, here's $5, give me a ride. Where did I go? Straight to my drug dealer's house.
Where else?
Straight there.
You weren't separated from the drugs and alcohol long enough. That's the problem. Well, drugs, but we talk about like you can't just come in. It doesn't matter if you're addicted to fentanyl or what it is that you're addicted to. You can't just come in for a second and then think that your habits are going to change.
It's not enough.
No, your mind knows how to survive. That's what it wants to do. And our minds are really simple. They love habits, right? And so it's going to go right back to what it knows how to do.
Yeah. It's the disorder. So I go there. I'm right back to where I was, right back at it. And so I'm going to court, and they finally court ordered me to go to treatment. And that was a good thing for me, like that, you know. So I went to another treatment center. I tried to AMA a couple times, and I got talked out of it. I was one of those people where I was like, no, I'm going to stay on Suboxone this entire time. And they talked me out of it. Thank God. I listened. I did the thing. I checked off the boxes. And then I got court ordered to go to a 6-month halfway house. And I was angry. I was so mad that they did that to me. And I couldn't even imagine going somewhere for 6 whole months. Like that sounds like torture.
It sounds like the longest time ever, too. Even 30 days sounds insane.
It sounds so long. When you do it, it really doesn't feel that long when you're done.
In hindsight, you look back and it's quick, but at the time,
it's 1 month of your life, you know. What would you do otherwise?
Get high.
Yeah.
It's better than losing your life in that 1 month. I mean, especially with the drugs that are out there right now. I mean, fentanyl is literally killing people on their first try. Or what we're seeing a lot is in the treatment world, people will go to treatment for 30 days and they'll bring their tolerance way down because they haven't used for 30 days, and they go back to the same amount that they've been using, and they are unfortunately fatal.
Yeah. Because a lot of people just don't know. They don't know. They don't think that can happen to them. That's how I felt.
Yeah, you're special.
It's not going to happen to me. I'm
Absolutely
special. I'm special. I'm invincible. So I go to the halfway house. The theme, I get another boyfriend, you know. I start lying about where I'm going because they allowed you to go to meetings or your appointments, but that was about it. You had to fill out a schedule, blah, blah, blah. I'm saying I'm going to meetings, but I'm really going to meet up with him. And that's where the lying and the dishonesty started happening. And so I'm hanging out with him, and then we decide, you know, we're drug addicts, not alcoholics. We don't have a problem with alcohol. So we start going to bars and drinking every now and then, and I go back to the halfway house, and somehow they never caught me. So I completed the halfway house. That went on for about 8 months. 8 months I was drinking, and I got a job. I was on my way to my boyfriend's house that day, and he texted me and he said, "Don't be mad at me." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Just don't be mad." I'm like, "Okay." So I get there, and I looked at him, and I knew right away. I just looked at him, and I knew that he was getting high. And at that point, I wasn't going to meetings. I was lying about where I was going. I wasn't practicing any sort of a recovery program whatsoever. And I was like, I want some too. And
at this point, are you still on probation or with the court
I'm
systems?
still with Family Recovery Court.
And are they drugs?
They're still drug testing me. And somehow I thought I could get away with it.
Was there any point of just thinking like this might not turn out right?
In my mind, I was like, I'm just going to do it like once or twice and then be
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, it's going to be different this time.
Yeah. I'm just going to do this on the weekend real quick. And then I'm just not going to do it anymore.
You're going to use, like we say, drink like a gentleman, right? Like you're gonna do it ladylike. Just a couple of times. I'm just gonna use fentanyl on the weekends.
Just light work.
Yeah.
And I at this point I am getting visitations with my daughter. Like I can't keep her overnight or anything, but I am getting visitations with her. And I do this, and we went to bed, and in the middle of the night, he rolled over and touched me, and I was ice cold. So, and I was doing the death rattle, and he called an ambulance, and I just remember coming to, just like sitting up, and they Narcaned me a couple times. Went to the hospital, came back home, and you just feel terrible from that Narcan, right? You just feel terrible. And I wanted to use.
What happens when you get Narcaned?
Ugh.
To your body.
Just ill. It jolts you, and you just feel like.
Did you wake up instantly feeling like crap?
Like disgusting. Disgusting. That's the only way I can describe it. It's just, you go into like instant withdrawal, and it just feels awful.
Awful. Well, I mean, you are coming back from death, so that's probably one part of it. And chemically, our bodies are the opiate is being ripped from its receptor. So it's not just this real gentle, peaceful come to, it's all of that detox that usually takes about a week or so for people to start feeling a little bit better, just instant. Like you said, that instant withdrawal is super gnarly.
Brutal.
And it's a precipitated withdrawal, which is way, way worse.
Way worse.
Than just a regular old normal withdrawal.
Oh,
I did that
God.
for a long time with Vivitrol.
I'm so
happy.
grateful that I'll never have to withdraw again.
We're saying the same thing right now. I was like, God, I'm so happy I never have to go through that again. It was awful. Awful.
And that fear of the withdrawal is what keeps us coming back.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I did use again. And I don't know if there's a thing where you almost overdose. But I was coming in and out to where it was like I felt it, like death was right around the corner. And somehow I moved through it and didn't overdose again. Boyfriend went to jail. He was on drug court. They found out, so he went to jail. And Family Recovery found out, so they ordered me to go back to treatment. And I did stop doing fentanyl for like a couple of days at that point. So I was like mad. I was like, I don't need detox. Like, why are you sending me to treatment? Like, this makes no sense. And I fought back again because I'm a stubborn woman. And I wasn't just I didn't want to let people tell me what to do about my life. Like, I got this. I'm control. Like, I'm in
you're
full
doing
control of
such a good job.
I got it figured out this time. Like, you can't tell me anything. But for the sake of getting my daughter back, I went. And this time the funny thing is, during COVID, they had just moved. It was a women's facility, and they had just moved everybody out because there was a COVID outbreak in there, and they just started taking people back. And I was the first one they took back. So I was by myself in this treatment center for like 3 whole days.
Yeah, learn to be by yourself.
Yeah.
God has a funny way of doing that. You can't sit with yourself. You're going to really sit with yourself.
I had to sit with myself and feel all those feelings. And I was so uncomfortable. I hated it. I just wanted to leave, but I didn't. I stuck around. And this time I really started to listen. And, before going, I was like, I've been through the groups. I've done it all. I know what they talk about.
There's nothing you can't teach me.
Exactly. There's nothing new. But I actually started listening this time, and I heard something different.
Right.
Probably the same things, but I heard something different.
The groups weren't different, but you were.
Yeah. Yeah. And I started listening to the steps. And that first step we're powerless over our addiction. Our life is unmanageable. And it finally kind of clicked for me. I am powerless. I am not in control of this thing. It is taking over my body and my life. And it changed everything for me. I had to let go and let God. And I had to have a higher power to bring me back to sanity.
Amen.
Yeah. And I started praying and I started doing some step work. Yeah. And I started feeling my feelings and coming out on the other side of them and processing them and talking about them and sharing and being a part of.
And who were you doing all this with? Was it just one person? Was it multiple people? Was it?
Sharing in a group of multiple people that I ended up trusting and women to lean on. And that's important. So I go to this treatment center. I leave and I start going to meetings immediately. I fought back again on going to a halfway house. I did do that. So I went to Oxford House. And it worked for me. It really did. And I started building these relationships within the recovery community in Fort Wayne. I got a sponsor, and to this day, she's my best friend. She is there for me. I can call her anytime. And her sponsor too. I got very close with her. I got a home group, and it is feeling that part of something. You felt left out and estranged your whole life. And finally you found something that you're accepted in. And people are like happy to see you.
Yeah.
People are happy to see you. So I built these relationships. I started getting involved, even going out to dinner with everybody after a meeting is just as important as the meeting, in my opinion, because you're building these relationships in recovery when all you had was relationships in addiction. And we know that's not sincere.
Mm-hmm.
You can't count on those people. So I had to get rid of everybody. I had to drop everyone and build these new relationships. And I started doing a lot of volunteer work for NA and Oxford House. And I truly feel like that was a huge part of keeping me sober. And I became a dependable woman. I became a dependable person, an honest person, someone with integrity. I got my own place. I got a car. I got a job. I got all these materialistic things that we didn't have before. And when you're working a program and you're doing the next right thing, things fall into place.
Right.
It might not come right away, but it sure does. If you keep it up, it will come. And I got custody of my daughter back. That always makes me tear up.
It's incredible.
I got custody of my daughter back.
But not without work, right?
Yeah. I had to put in work.
Yeah. And you talk about, we say it all the time, the opposite of addiction is connection.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about how important the fellowship was to you, how important service work is to you. And that's not easy stuff to do when we're selfish and self-centered at our core. But you did it. And then you received the results. A lot of times you'll see people say, oh, must be nice, lucky. But we worked for this. That's why our lives are good now, because you worked for it.
I did.
And you found that sufficient substitute, right? I talk about that a lot because I love that we have that phrase, the sufficient substitute for what drugs and alcohol originally were giving us, or we thought, right? That false hope and pride and false happiness. It was never real, but it worked until it didn't. And then we had to find the sufficient substitute, which is the fellowship and service work and being proud of ourselves. That's awesome.
How long did it take for you to get your daughter back?
I believe probably I don't really remember. I would say probably 6 months.
From the time that you started with family court to the time that you got her back.
I started, it ended up being a year and a half. 2 years.
I think that's important for people to know because
2 years.
It's not instant. This isn't instant gratification.
No.
We're not doing that anymore. You have to work for your stuff, and it takes a while. And there's probably days where you wanted to give up in between there, but you kept pushing forward. And that's why the community is so important, because there's going to be days you don't feel 100%. Somebody's going to have to tell you, and okay, yeah, me neither, but let's keep going.
Especially in that first year.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The first year of recovery is the hardest. Because just because we take everything away, that doesn't mean that all of our problems that we have caused, the chaos that we have consumed, it's all still there.
The guilt.
Yes. The shame, the
Yeah,
embarrassment.
absolutely. Mom guilt is,
Oh, it's real.
yeah,
It is something.
absolutely.
Yeah.
How was your first year of recovery?
It was tough. Just because I had so much going on. You know, I had a full-time job. I was going to visitation. I was going to therapy. I was jumping through all these hoops for family recovery court, going to financial literacy,
Living in a halfway house.
living in a halfway house.
Chores.
Chores.
Grown woman doing chores.
Yeah. Going out there and shoveling the snow by myself because that's what I had signed up for that week.
It's not going to snow.
And it's just feeling all those feelings that you never were used to feeling, and these emotions you don't know what to deal with. And I had that full schedule, and I kept it, and I worked hard. And even though I didn't want to do it, and sometimes I didn't feel like doing it some days, I still did, because that meant that I could be a good mom, and I could be a good daughter. I could be a good friend. I could be there for people, because it wasn't all about what I was doing either. It was about like how I could show up for other people that I wasn't able to show up for before.
Right.
And helping people. So I ended up finishing and graduating family recovery court, and they still say today that I'm like I'm a really good success story for them. And that makes me feel really grateful that I can turn around and be there for other women going through the same thing. So I finished that, and I'm doing everything I'm supposed to, and got this job, and I decided I think I want to work in recovery. I think that's what I want to do. I want to help people who's been through the same thing as me. So I found a job listing for Fort Wayne Recovery. Yeah. And I got the job. I was a BHT, and I felt like I was really doing something. And I was, and that's how I got eventually in this position. And I'm super grateful for this position, because I can work with alumni, make sure they're okay. If they're not, like, let me help you.
What is your position now?
I'm the alumni outreach coordinator. So when patients leave the program, they are considered alumni. I plan fun events for them. I held meetings for them. I call them and check up on them. Hey, are you okay? How are you doing? And that's really fulfilling for me. It gives me purpose. And I think it's really important too to show people in early recovery, like, you can still have fun. Like, this isn't the end of you having fun.
Absolutely.
Like, you haven't experienced real fun yet. Like, real heartfelt belly laughs, like, it still happens. That's something you're probably missing for a long time. So that's really important to me. And I'm grateful every day. I thank God every day for what I can do. But yeah, I think that's the end of my story.
So you mean to tell me that when you're calling alumni, you're not just trying to get people back into treatment, you're trying to keep them excited about it and know that if you are connected to a treatment facility, you should stay connected to them, even though you're not a patient anymore?
Absolutely. I want to hear them, and I want to hear in their voice that they're doing well. Like, that makes me happy. And I do care. A lot of them are like, you don't care. I'm just another patient. Like, I honestly do care, because you're me.
Yeah.
In some shape or form, you are me. We may not have the same story, but we are the same.
Absolutely. Yep. And it's that community and connection that you needed. So you, just like you know how to talk to them about AMA, you know how to talk to them about staying connected and how vital that is. They have to have that. We cannot recover by ourselves. We just can't. Maybe you could do it for like a little while, but how lonely? Why do you need to?
I've seen it. But that's where the isolation and the depression, and it's the white knuckling it through that whole process. And those people aren't always pleasant.
No, I did not get sober to be miserable. I will tell you that right now. If I get too miserable, there's no reason that I'm not getting high anymore, right? I want to enjoy my sobriety. That's the payoff of all of this. It's all the promises that they told us were going to happen if I stayed sober. They made all these promises to me that I would be able to enjoy life and be comfortable in my skin. And look at you doing. You described yourself in the beginning of this podcast as somebody that was shy and not outgoing.
Yeah.
And you just shared to the world your story.
Yeah.
That's special.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on.
Absolutely.
Thank you to my co-hosts, Sierra and Hannah. And that was the last of our episode, and we hope to see you next time. Thanks.
Bye, guys.